Pamela. I'm the project manager here at Salvation Mountain. This is Leonard Knight's life work. It was his baby. He started off trying to get God's message of his love out on a hot air balloon. He worked on the hot air balloon for 15 years trying to piece it together. By the time he started putting air in it, one end rotted out, so he didn't get that. When he couldn't get the hot air balloon, he started this. I have a paper article from 1993 where he said he was going to do an 8x10 and then leave the desert. Well, obviously he did not leave the desert. This is his hogan. This is, as you can see, many hay bales. Made an igloo out of the hay bales and then adobe. All of Salvation Mountain is nothing but adobe, which is clay from the back hill. You soak it, you let it get really wet and gushy, you mush it, hand by hand. Everything's done by hand, just like Leonard did. Leonard Knight did this every day for 28 years. He made adobe and he covered it with paint. When he couldn't get paint, he just made adobe, and he would cover anything. In the museum, you see the windows. Those windows, most of them are attached to a car door. This was Leonard's project for his entire life, but look how beautiful it is. The God is love message is everywhere. And Leonard was big on repenting because he wanted everyone to know that even though we're human and we've all done bad things, if you ask God nicely, he will forgive you. There's video, if you look at it on YouTube, if you put Leonard Knight in, of him saying he went out, I think in his sister's driveway. He had been having an argument with her and he sat in his vehicle and he just sat there with the whole God, I'm a sinner, please come into my heart thing. I guess he said it about 50 times to himself. I gotta tell you, there's something special about this specific place. I don't know what drew him here, but there's something very special about this place that made him do this here. We don't get much rain in the desert, but when it does rain, it gets in the old adobe and it cracks and the paint all comes off. We've restored all the waves out front because all the paint was gone. So this is the front door of Slab City, and it is really quite the artistic creation as well as the whole God thing. There are people who come here just for the art, but you can't help but feel the love. People come here from all over the world now. Because of social media, we've reached far and wide, which is really interesting because some people have lived here all their life and they've only just now come in here. So each one of these flowers, he would put the mud, then put his fist in it. See the fist mark? So every one of these flowers, he'd put the adobe down and they'd punch it to make the flower come out. All these have his hand mark. There's a girl named Jess from Korea. She is a dancer like our Beyonce. She did a video up here probably 3 months ago. Martha Stewart did her new bridal fashion magazine here. Coldplay let out a video called Birds about 6 months ago. That's really cool. You have to check that out for sure. That's on YouTube. But if you put Leonard Knight into YouTube, you can go on for hours and days and days. There's stuff from 20 years ago to 2 days ago that people have posted. And that's window putty. So I have to make the words out, window putty. Yeah, I've restored just about all of that. The girl Jess, the Korean video girl, put a snow globe in and out of this thing for an hour and a half to get the right shot. My friend Ron now lives here. He's our caretaker and my aerialist. He makes the adobe and he drags it up and off the ladder he goes onto those hay bales and seals up the old hay bales. Unfortunately, some of this stuff never got finished, so we have 20-year-old hay bales that are starting to fall apart now. So we have to mud those, and once you put the mud on, it takes about 8 coats of paint to make it stop cracking. As you see, we've remudded here and we have been repainting just recently here, which is hard at this angle. But see how it's still cracking through? And that's because that's new mud. None of these trees were here to start with. And see, they're all just hooked together with more sticks, cables, ropes. And see behind you where the ladder is? That's where Ron's been working, sealing up the hay bales. See, he has to put mud on it, then you gotta paint it at least 8 times. But see the gushiness of the hay bales? And some fools try to walk up and down that, make me have a stroke. But see where the adobe's cracking? All these have to be sealed up with adobe and then repainted. We've worked a lot in the past 6 months. We've had to redo the yellow brick road several times because there's so much traffic. Now, Leonard Knight made this out of a lot of garbage, literally. He could not take the cans to the dump because he wasn't a member of society here, so didn't have a dump pass. So he would take all the empty cans and just adobe over them. He would adobe over furniture. There's a lot of furniture here, couches, chairs, refrigerators. Whatever he could make the mold out of, he would adobe over it. As you can see in Slab City, there's still a lot of garbage. We actually have people who pay the kids every weekend to go through and pick up garbage, but unfortunately, locals still use it as a garbage dump. If they can't take it to the dump, they dump it out here in the desert, but we reuse it in the desert. A lot of people can find lots of things. One man's garbage, another man's treasure. See right here, starting to cave in. So we're gonna get some bracing and push it back out before we adobe here. These guys, Eclampus Vitus, they are older man's fraternity, and they came for the weekend. This has been in plan for about a year. They do this for fun. This is their 101st plaque, and they did a great job. Awesome. This is a beautiful thing. Yeah, a couple Saturdays ago they were here for the whole weekend. If you go to slabcity.us, you can see the whole history. Bob Sims, who's on the board of directors, that was the original page, and you can see the beginning when it was just a mud hill, which is exactly what this was a mud hill before Leonard started, to what it is today. It's been a 28-year process. He started in '84 and he died 2 years ago, February 10th. He was in the old folks home from 2011. But up until that time, he was working every day and people were bringing him donations. There's a guy from Chicago that comes and he's got books and books of Kodachromes. Him and his wife would come and read to Leonard because he lost his sight later in life due to diabetes. So it was not just Leonard, it was everybody. But it was his dream to even have the imagination to have something like this come out of your head and then implement it for the later 30 years of your life is quite amazing. And I will be here for the next 20 years making sure the desert doesn't take it back. That's going to be my job. And Ron is here to help me. He does a magnificent job. He's our caretaker. Because that's a big thing with me is I don't want to lose his hand. I don't want my hand to be there. That's why I'm always yelling at people not to walk where they shouldn't, because if they break it, then I have to fix it. Well, it's no longer Leonard's hand that fixed it. It's mine. Like I came in, they had a rave out back, all this light blue, they had graffitied purple everywhere. So, oh look, I got more eyelashes. Why? They have to put eyelashes on the windows. Why do people do this? It's like every week you do a graffiti walk and have to paint over stuff. For real. Yeah, more eyelashes. This sand comes in so fast, you guys have no idea. Just 2 weeks ago, we painted this floor. I have kids that do community service. They come out here and just sweep buckets and buckets of dirt for me. But then we put this dirt into the paint to make it kind of like a pancake batter, because then when it dries, it's like cement. You can kind of hear it. I've redone this one personally. Hear it? That's because you make it kind of cementy, the paint. But like just right here, where's my hole? Right here, there was a, see where it's gaping in? I put 3 buckets of adobe in there. It just kept going in the hole. There was a hole and I just kept putting it in. It just kept going. I don't know where it was going, but she's solid again now. This is the only place anybody's got hurt the whole time I've been here. She stepped down like this and fell off her high heels and broke her leg. But this is his Hogan. He stayed in here a lot for the whole fact. As you can tell, it's a lot cooler. Much cooler in there too. But this, for some reason, people leave stuff. We have to clear it off once in a while. I personally have restored this several times in the past year. It's a constant labor of love. Every crack can become a problem. I can tell you the exact day where I went from I'm just a greeter to oh my God, I have to fix it. I cannot have this happening. It's falling into the desert, and they were only working on it 4 hours a month, 5 months out of the year. That's all, because they didn't have anybody that was dedicated enough to do it, that they trusted not to change Leonard's work. And like right here, somebody had cut into it. I don't even know what it was. So I put more adobe in and put that over there. Like I was telling him, each one of these flowers, if I have to repair it, I'm losing Leonard's hand, literally. He threw the mud, put his fist. So each one of these flowers has his fist mark. And if somebody messes with it, like this poor flower over there, it's gonna be mine. Ron is working on that. Yep, that is something that we've tried. We're definitely gonna do that. But see all these cracks? That one needs about 20 flowers to fill that hole. That's what he did with a lot of it. When you look around, if there was a crack, he put the mud in it, punched it, made it a flower. Yeah, so I need about half a dozen right
now
there.
You gotta find the best one, the best.
That's the next thing. We've looked, let me tell you. And then like, I'll show you out back. He made flowers from tuna fish cans because he always has had cats here. The cats are actually in the will. We have about 6 of them right now. We always will have mountain cats. Actually, I had to take one of my dogs home today because she was chasing cats. She followed me to work. This is where Ron makes adobe now. So you soak the clay in the tractor thing, and you mix the hay. And it's all done by hand with the blunt shovel. See, we got this sweetness right here. That's all clay. You get huge chunks of clay out here. And we can't go much further into that because it's going to collapse. This thing here is the General Sherman tree replica. This is exactly how big some General Sherman tree is that's in NorCal. I have to look up more information about it. Sequoia, yeah, that. But that's what this is supposed to be, and we're gonna start working on this too. And see, those type of flowers are the flowers that he made with tuna fish can, and then he made the adobe on top of it. These type flowers, the little ones, and he used to give them away as gifts to all the people that would come. He'd make these little flowers out of the can and the adobe. I got a bunch of them I'm gonna glue back on there, see where it's all cracked. I've got some that he made that I'm just gonna put the adobe and just glue it back on. That flower path up here at the beginning, I've done a lot of that because like the flowers were just washed down the hill. So I pick them up, put them there, dump a gallon of paint on their head and glue it back down. That's our paint locker. That's now full of paint again, yay. My friend Steve G went to Anaheim and picked me up 400 gallons of paint this week. Now this thing here is actually what he was trying to blow up said balloon with. This monster. How? I'm not sure, quite honestly. But this is what he was trying to blow up the big hot air balloon with. This was what was gonna do that. How? Not sure of that one.